Welcome back to Popcorn for Dinner, folks. This is Jeff.
And Kelly.
We are officially in December. We have crossed that Thanksgiving threshold into the true holiday season.
Yes.
Trying to not sound too excited about it. But as a result, we decided it's time to watch some sort of festive movies, some themed movies in this month leading up to Christmas and New Year's, but there's not really.
And other Hanukkah.
Well, yeah, the holiday season.
Yeah, exactly.
So the first movie that we decided to do is one that I've honestly wanted to see for a while. I hadn't seen it before, but it was something that was suggested, over and over again over the years for being a slasher fan of needing to see this movie, and I just never got around to it. So now it seemed like the perfect opportunity.
Because I had never even heard of it.
Yeah. So it's like, hey, let's do it. And it's weird too, because it's one of the rare ones where like I hadn't seen like any part of it, like it wasn't like there's plenty of movies that I haven't seen yet, but I've seen like a scene on YouTube or something like that, but I haven't seen the full movie. This one I hadn't seen anything, so I was really excited to finally sit down and watch it after hearing everything about it. And obviously you kind of coming in completely cold of like, what's this called? What's this now? The movie that we're seeing. So, I mean, we'll obviously get to it over the course of the whole thing, but like, I guess sort of short version, I would say I really dug it. There was some bits that kept it from being really good, and we'll definitely get into that.
Yeah.
Because there's parts towards the end where I was just like, wait a minute.
What?
Yeah, but overall, I really liked it. I thought it was like a nice like atmospheric.
Should probably mention that the movie is Black Christmas.
Did I not mention that?
You did not.
All right. The movie is Black Christmas. the 1974 version of Black Christmas, because there's another one from 2006. That's like right in that slasher movie reboot era. And then there's another one coming out this month called Black Christmas. That sort of spawned the idea. I saw the trailer for it.
Okay.
And I was like, this looks horrible. Like, this looks like a really bad movie. And I know that there was a one in the early 2000s, and I know that there was an original one way back when. And I was looking at the comments under the trailer, and people were just, tearing into it, specifically people who really, really love the original. And they're like, this movie's not going to have an ounce of the, like, tension that any part of the old one would have. And I was like, okay, that's probably a little overzealous there. You're kind of overselling it. But after watching it, I thought it was really, really well done. Like, even if it wasn't anything, like it didn't do anything where I was like, holy shit, in terms of being different from any other slasher movie, but just knowing that it kind of codified a couple of things, that was pretty cool to watch. How did you feel?
I enjoyed it. There were definitely some like things that just like culturally it was like, oh wow, the 70s.
The 70s.
Wow. Okay.
So it was directed by Bob Clark, who did A Christmas Story as well, which is like, that's such the coolest thing to have, like a really classic Christmas movie on both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Like making two separate Christmas classics. Like, that's pretty fucking cool.
Like the ultimate like family Christmas movie.
Yeah, ultimate.
Yeah. That was my holiday movie that we watched every single year.
I mean, I think everyone did, just like on accident.
I mean, it was on TBS for 24 hours.
Exactly.
You couldn't not watch it.
Even other one. I mean, like Christmas Vacation, I know you said is one that you haven't seen. It's like that one sort of slipped by you because they don't play it literally for 24 hours on Christmas Day or leading up to, or whenever the fuck it is.
We would just leave that channel on.
And just catch the movie over the course of the day. Like, I got this part here and this part there.
As we're like opening presents, it's on in the background.
I mean, it's kind of episodic, like it's kind of like, it's not a movie where it's like, oh, what part was this? Is that like, where are they at in the story? It's like, no, it's just some shit happening.
Yeah. It's just one day after another.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
But yeah, to go from that ultimate family movie to...
I actually think it was the other way. I think it was Black Christmas into Christmas Story.
Oh.
Like, I thought Christmas Story was 75 or was it later than that? I honestly don't remember.
But in terms of like watching, like
Oh yeah.
like seeing that my whole life,
Uh-huh.
and then coming into this and like, oh, this is different.
Yeah, and it's funny too because like you can kind of see it
Hmm.
in the way that like I mean there's a bunch of funny stuff in it, like most of the shit involving Nash,
Oh my
that
god,
sergeant.
he was so fucking
He
incompetent. That
just
was at
keeps.
least like three of my notes.
I just wrote at one point. I just wrote Nash keeps fucking up. Like it
Yeah.
just keeps happening. But like moments with him are pretty funny. The way that it would cut during a kill scene always seemed like it was supposed to be for laughs almost. Because
Okay.
like when the first kill, which
Hmm.
is such a good one, that was
Like,
like pitch perfect slasher movie death scene.
yeah.
Like the cat, it leaves, she hears something, she creeps closer to that closet for seemingly ever, and you're like, oh no,
Hmm.
no, oh god. And then it just happens, and it's just like fucking whatever cellophane, whatever that is, wraps it around her head.
Yeah.
She like breathes in real hard, like, and then it just smash cuts down to Mrs. Mack
Hmm.
in the living room with the girls, and they're all like, "Oh, we got you a present, we got you a present," and it seems really like that was supposed to be a super jarring, like, "Whoa, what?" kind of cut, and I felt like it did that almost every time when someone was killed. It would like quick cut to something unrelated and hilarious.
It seemed to me like they were doing those cuts to like, and this is why no one hears
I figured that as well, especially later with Barb's. Because that one seems
with
like it
the
would be really
kids
loud.
singing.
Yeah, if there
Yeah.
wasn't a chorus of children outside singing.
Yeah.
Um,
Which, how long was that song? Good lord.
I know when they started again, like, because they finished the like normal, like,
Hmm.
oh, and then there was just like a break, and it was like, all right, and then all of a sudden, oh, and I was like, really, it keeps going.
Yeah.
I thought that was on purpose funny. I think so.
Okay. I
Because
want to
that got
believe it.
me. I was like, dude, really, this song is fucking taking forever.
Okay. So that got me, but the other like sergeant or detective or whatever,
The main, oh,
the other, yeah,
the lieutenant, the main dude,
no,
Fuller, isn't it? Was it Fuller?
I think so.
Yeah, like
But
the real handsome guy.
the guy that was in the office with him,
The guy who is literally
laughing.
credited as laughing detective in the credits, because all he does is just laugh.
He
Yeah,
started laughing, and it was like instantaneous.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I was cracking up.
Oh my god.
Like that's such a good moment. Especially, I love the way that scene is played because you're in the dark
Hmm.
for a good chunk of time, unless you're really paying attention to what he's holding, or like remembering the exact specifics of what happened over the course of the movie.
Yeah.
Like to know exactly why that dude's laughing so hard. But just sitting there and being like, okay, he's dying of laughter, and now the lieutenant is also laughing, so it's something that they're both finding funny. What is going on?
Yeah.
And then finally he calls Nash over with the whole fellatio joke. I was so glad that paid off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
as a scene, I was like, I loved Barb anyway. I thought Margot Kidder was fucking phenomenal. I also thought she was the main character
Oh.
for a good stretch of
Yeah,
time
yeah.
because it starts on her.
Mm-hmm.
She angers the killer
Mhm.
over the phone, and he says, "I'm going to kill you," which was awesome.
Yes.
That's something I want to get into, are those phone calls.
Okay.
But she's a great character. She's hilarious. She's fucking in everyone's face. She's making snarky remarks. She has that whole big monologue about turtles having sex
Yeah.
and stuff. Like she's just so ridiculous, and I loved her so much. And then all of a sudden, I took a break when I was watching it.
Okay.
Like I watched a good chunk of it, and then I stopped it, and then I picked it up again a little bit later. And in the meantime, I went to the Wikipedia page for the movie
Okay.
because I was like, who is this woman who's playing Jess? I feel like I've seen her in something before. So I went to her page.
Mm-hmm.
It turned out I hadn't
Okay.
really. But under her name, it said like best known as the lead actress in Black Christmas. And I was like, really?
Oh.
She's the lead? Jess? Like, that's weird. Because Barb totally seems like the lead.
Mm-hmm.
And then once she gets all angry and drunk and they send her to bed, I was like, oh, there it is. Okay. And she's never coming down from there ever again.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. She's not the main character. I was just so fixated on her. I thought she was the greatest.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like, where's she going?
Do I know her from something?
I don't know. She was Lois Lane in those old Superman movies with Christopher Reeve.
Okay.
But I can't really recall anything else that she's in that I know
That's
of.
right.
But yeah, sorry, there were a bunch of really good comedy moments, I thought. One of which being that fucking piano recital.
Yeah.
When Peter fucks up the piano recital and he's just like hammering away at seemingly all the wrong keys. It seemed like one of those cartoons where someone like bumps somebody so they go down a key and they're playing everything horrible because it doesn't make any sense anymore.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like was happening to him. I was
Yeah.
like, why can't he just play? What's happening? Is he making this up?
Yeah,
Is this like from the heart? Like a really mournful, unmelodic song and everything?
So bad.
It was really weird. And then I realized I was like, oh my God, this is so funny how sweaty he is. Like, it's like full on like sketch show, like sweaty, like, oh God, as he's pounding away at the keys. I thought that was just, like
but
hilarious.
like barely moving his feet.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that part. I like the like comedic moments to it. I like, obviously, I thought they were fun and it made the movie really entertaining. One of my things with it though was just how hard that like tone would just like switch on a dime.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To the point, like, because it's like if it was a little campier in its violence, like I think Miss Mac's death is probably the campiest of them, of like sort of over the top.
Like setting a big trap.
Yeah. But it was a little, it did kind of like affect me in this weird way. Like, I guess we just got to get into Billy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they call him in the Wikipedia page. I don't think he has a name in the credits or anything like that. He's just the guy in the house, but everyone calls him Billy.
I just called him the bad guy the whole time.
Yeah. So that opening sequence with that like Halloween-esque, tracking shot 4 years before Halloween, like I loved that. Watching that going down, I was like, oh my God.
It did get to be a little nauseating. Like after a while, once he was in the house, for me at least, just the way that he was moving around and like looking at different things and
I mean,
a little off-putting.
I completely understand why too, like because the 70s and shit, there wasn't as much camera technology.
Yeah, they didn't have GoPros.
Exactly, they didn't have stuff like that. So literally, it was like the camera guy designed something that he like wore and then performed the motions and everything.
Yeah.
So it clearly, like, you can tell that whoever is like walking around and doing these things is very top heavy with the way that the camera's moving and kind of swaying. So I can definitely understand that it would get a little kind of like almost nauseating.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of like a subtle sway almost all the time. Because that camera must have weighed like 100 fucking pounds.
Oh, I'm sure. Like,
just
mad kudos to that guy for doing it.
Yeah.
But damn.
But
being on a boat.
Yeah. I will say this. I found Billy to be like truly bone chilling. I found him to be a really affecting monster for the movie. Like it almost felt over the top. Like it almost felt like it reached that point of like you're acting so crazy that you just seem like a sane person acting crazy. You know what I mean? Like you're like so out there that it's like, wait a minute, what are you talking? What?
Yeah.
No. I felt like it towed that line so perfectly to make him really scary to me. And I think the like piece de resistance of the whole thing, what sucked me in immediately was the fact that there's like that first opening phone call, all the girls are around. He's just fucking swearing and cursing and screaming and unintelligibly.
He said cunt.
Yeah.
Like a few times.
Yeah.
That was like the most surprising.
Yeah, that was wild. I honestly was not expecting that. But I wrote down, I was like, those phone calls are straight like nasty.
Yeah.
Like in really troubling ways that I thought it really grabbed me. And then the fact that right at the end, she fucking grabs the phone, she tells him off, and then just like clear as day, normal voice, I'm going to kill you. And then hangs up the phone. That got me. I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What is this? What is any of this?
What?
Yeah, like, whoa. So I thought it was really fucking good. And even the moments that were a little over the top, like when he's up in the attic and he just like freaks out and starts punching things and like screaming, like,
yeah, like was he upset that the taxi driver left? Like,
I don't know.
That's what it seemed like.
Yeah,
like
there was like a cause and effect there. It did seem like he left. He was like, no,
damn it.
Yeah, but I don't really know. But like that going crazy might have been a little bit over the top, but I really liked it, especially as like a counterpoint to Halloween and how completely
Mm-hmm.
emotionless Michael Myers is and how much I really like that about that movie.
Yeah.
And then watching this one and being like, thank God it's something different. Because
Mm-hmm.
fucking then later you get Jason, who is again emotionless, doesn't speak, doesn't
Mm-hmm.
whatever, blah, blah, blah. Michael Myers rip off. And then that sort of becomes the norm of the like silent,
Mm-hmm.
you
Where
know.
the Leatherface,
Yeah, I mean,
does
I
he
think he
talk?
kind of makes noises, but he
Oh,
doesn't really talk.
not like
Um,
Freddy.
yeah, no, not cracking jokes like Freddy. But just the fact that it was just like a fucking dude going berserk.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. That's all it ever is. You never get an explanation for it at all. That's all it'll ever be.
It did go on for a little bit of a comedic length of time.
What, the freak out in the
Yeah.
attic? Okay, I
Yeah.
don't know if I really noticed it on that one, but I'll take your word for it. I was just like, oh man, this is whoa. But I will say, like, it was really affecting, and that sequence near the end, which was just like, oh my god. So fucking Phyllis, who I dug throughout the movie. I
Mm-hmm.
like she wasn't the like super wet blanket friend that you would imagine
Yeah.
like a sort of like dorky looking character would be.
She
She
was
was in there with them. She was making jokes. She was whatever.
she was pretty chill.
Yeah, and then she had that like really like a moment that I feel like you never see in a slasher movie where it's like, people's friends go missing
Mm-hmm.
and there's always like they're just doing whatever and they never really go into it again. It's always like, oh, they're probably just playing a joke or like they'll
Mm-hmm.
show up sooner or later. But in this case, because Claire goes missing like immediately and then the movie goes on for like 40 minutes
Mm-hmm.
before like really getting back into a
Yeah.
whole lot of slashing and the bad guy and stuff. So it really is like it's just a movie about a girl who gets killed and nobody knows where she is and they're all
Yeah.
looking for her. But she has that moment where she just like breaks down, and she's
Mm-hmm.
like, I just know Claire is dead. I just know it. I feel so bad for Mr. Harrison and all of
Mm-hmm.
that. And I was like, oh my God, like this is really like getting to me
Yeah.
because you never see that in a slasher movie. Nobody ever is like, you know what? I actually have a really horrible feeling. And you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're always like, no, it's fine. They'll be back
Yeah.
later. And then
Which
and then once they find their dead body, then they're like, oh my God, he's been dead this whole time. But they never actually just have that moment of like, I might never see my friend again. They might be dead.
yeah.
And so actually having that in there, I was like, this is like slasher movie on, like just like a full gear. You know what I mean? Like the best kind of slasher movie. Like,
Yeah.
and not even in the sense of being like, I like it better than Halloween now. Like Halloween is whoa, dude. But it absolutely like immediately rocketed up into my list of like horror movies in general, but especially slasher movies. Like, damn, I
Yeah.
like this a lot. But sorry, I was getting somewhere because I was talking about Billy, right? But so after Phil gets killed, which was a great one too. Like there's a few deaths where you see it happen,
Mm-hmm.
like Claire and Ms. Mac and Barb and all that. But then with hers, it's literally just door slam, and you just know, like, oh
Yep.
fuck,
That's it. She's done.
yeah, I really like that. But so there, she's dead. Barb is dead. Barb's death scene, instant classic to me.
Yeah.
That children's choir singing over like somewhat slow motion, it seemed like it
Mm-hmm.
was just under cranked enough to give it a little like dreaminess,
Mm-hmm.
and just the fact that it was such a great character too, like gives it some weight of like, no, Barb,
I was rooting for you.
exactly.
You were openly drinking in a police station
and smoking.
and smoking, and she was openly getting child drunk.
Yeah. In front
What?
of, wasn't it in front of,
Mr. Harrison.
yeah, the guy who's there because his daughter's missing.
Yeah.
Well, not he's there to meet her, but his daughter is missing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But-
sorry.
Yeah.
Barb and Phil are dead already.
Mm-hmm.
And Jess gets that fucking phone call from that douchebag Nash where
That
he
was-
does exactly what the lieutenant tells him not to do.
Mhm.
Like, do not tell her that someone is in the house. Just tell her to leave. And then like almost immediately with
Yeah.
barely any resistance, he just gives it up. Like,
Yeah.
Jess, he is in the house with you. Like, you fucking moron. But when she is like walking towards the front door, like she's gonna leave, and she turns back and is calling
Yes.
for Barb and Phyllis again, because she did it once.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gets the phone call from the cops and they tell her the guy's in the house, and then she's about to leave and she turns back and she's like crying this time
Yeah.
and screaming for them, even though it's, you could tell like she knows.
Mm-hmm.
That moment, because of how much they built Billy up over the course of that movie and how fucking like crazy and weird, and those fucking phone calls that really, they got to me, man. Like in a way that I didn't expect them to. I was expecting just like, I'm a creepy guy. Something creepy. I'm in the attic. But it was just like, oh my God. Like this would be legitimately frightening to get this sort of phone. Like this is a nightmare. So building all of that up and then her screaming like that in a way where, at least to me, I was like, he's going to know that she knows now. You know what I mean? Like if she's just calling for her friends, that could be anything. But if she's crying and screaming for her friends, then I imagine that he would be up there and like know that she knows. And I thought he was just going to like come out, and I was dreading it. I was literally sitting there like, oh my God, I'm not prepared for like the cut to him coming down from the attic or something where he's like out in the open. I was waiting for it the whole time, and thankfully it never came because it would have been too scary. But I was legitimately, I was like, oh my God, this is like, it's so built up, and you're just like, this dude's clearly completely out of his mind.
Yeah.
And now she is completely alone in this house with him. And I was just like,
and the cop outside is dead.
Yeah. So it's
and
like
the other cops are 5 minutes away.
Yeah. And it's just like, he's going to come out. And I was horrified about it. Fucking 5 minutes away took like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
I was
seriously.
expecting them to get there quicker.
Yeah.
They really screwed the pooch on that one. Do you think, because I'm not going to presume that you know, do you think that that is actually how they used to trace phone calls?
It is entirely possible that it was at least something similar to that.
Okay, because for one, I had no idea what he was doing. Like, I understood that he was tracing the phone call. I didn't understand how he was finding it, like, or following it or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like, we need the time. And it's like, we need 10 minutes to do it. And I was like, what is he doing? Is he going like to each? Is he like looking for a light or a something that shows that this is the, like, I don't understand what he was doing at all. But I was like, okay, he better find it.
Yeah.
So that was, it didn't like ruin the movie for me or anything, but I was just very confused. I was like, it's literally like tracing a phone call, like searching for it physically, like, oh, where is it? Where is it? Like trying to find it. That seemed weird to me. I was like, okay, I guess that must be how it was done, like analog.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
I mean, rotary phones and operator.
Yeah.
Like
that was weird. Hearing her ask for the operator, calling onto the operator. I was just like
I can't hear.
Yeah, I was like I don't think I've ever used the operator. Is it even a thing anymore? Can you even dial that anymore? Like dial 0?
I have no idea. I haven't tried.
Yeah.
Since I had
There's one guy in a room waiting for someone to hit 0 on their phone.
You know what? Tomorrow I'm going to make his day.
Nobody's called in years.
I specifically wrote a note about how I haven't heard someone say operator in a while.
Yeah.
But also Ultra 70s is getting a moo as a gift.
Yeah.
Like,
did
what?
she? I honestly couldn't make out her dialogue when the next scene when Mrs. Mack was looking at herself in the mirror and she was searching for that booze. Did she like it or not?
I don't think so.
Okay, I didn't think so either. But I was like, once the scene was done, I was like, I don't believe I understood any of the words that came out of her mouth in that sentence.
Yeah, it seemed relatively snarky.
Yeah.
So
it seemed like she didn't like it, but which also makes me wonder if the girls did that on purpose.
Yeah.
It seems like something they would do. Like give her a joke gift.
And then make her put it on.
Yeah, right. I thought that was an interesting sort of deal, her whole like booze hiding everywhere, which was like it didn't necessarily do anything or lead to anything, but just like as a character thing, it was like,
so you know she's an alcoholic.
Yeah, BT dubs. What was it again? Was it sherry?
I don't even know.
I read the first bottle and I was like, okay, and I didn't write it down, and then I completely forgot.
It looked like a whiskey bottle to me, but it could have been sherry. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know she used it as mouthwash.
Speaking of her death, I know we touched on it briefly earlier as being kind of like one of the campier ones. What I did find really like kind of interesting and a little like creepy about that scene, it didn't seem like that was like a thought out plan. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to lure her up here. And then once she comes up, I'm going to do this. The fact that he's like already standing there with it when she's coming in really makes it seem like he is in like fight or flight or something. You know what I mean? Like, oh my
Yeah.
God, she's coming up here. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And he just grabs that thing like, I need something. I don't know. And he's just waiting. And it's like, if she doesn't look, I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And then she looks. And it's like, fuck it. And then he does it. So I thought it was kind of creepy in a way that like, creepy in a way that not a lot of slasher villains really get to do because none of them seem vulnerable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like there's never a point in time where they're cornered.
Yeah, they always have the upper hand, essentially.
Exactly. So like if Michael Myers did that, it's because he did it on purpose. He lured them up there to do it. In this case, it really felt like he just didn't want to be found out.
Yeah,
like,
like
oh
that
my God.
fucking cat.
Exactly. I'm surprised they didn't kill the cat.
I know. I actually wrote a note about that. Like, is it finally going to be a cat that gets killed? Because it's always the dog that gets killed in every horror movie. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Not that I want the cat to die. It's just equality, man. Also, I didn't realize that Claire had been moved to the attic right away.
Me neither.
And so when
I
they're
thought it was in her room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's because they show her in the chair and then they cut to her door and they're standing outside of it talking about like, oh, she left, blah, 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 whatever. So yeah, it seemed like it was in her room.
Yeah.
And then it finally dawned on me later in the movie. I was like, oh my God, she's in the attic.
Yeah.
That's what that shadow was. It wasn't just him going back to the attic. It was him carrying her to the attic. I thought the shadow looked weird, but that shot, then bedroom door shot, made me go like, oh no, I must be wrong. He must be in her room. Yeah. I got like double convinced. Yeah. Something that really got to me, like I was saying with the whole like whiplash, where something, it could have these scenes that are really, really funny, and then just have this really fucking brutally dark stuff, like that park sequence when they're searching. They do the search party, and I was sitting there terrified that they were going to show the little girl.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. And then when the scene ended without it, I was like, nice move, movie. Oh, you made me so terrified for it. And then you're like, nah, just sit with what you thought it was going to be. Like, oh,
that's probably worse.
Yeah, exactly. That was truly like that. If you watched like the fucking Sergeant Nash show, like his garbage that was going on, all of his nonsense, and then you just put it right next to that, like just the sequence when the screaming starts and somebody finds the girl, and you put those two next to each other, people would be like, no, those aren't the same movie. There's no way. That would never work in the same movie.
But they are.
Exactly. And it somehow works. Right? It's wild. I really like horror comedy is not like a new thing to me or something. It's not like I'm just discovering that you can be funny and spooky. Like, no, it's I get it. It just, I feel like it really takes it to like almost slapsticky depths on one end, and then like true fucking like hereditary horror of just like, oh, that horrible impending dread on the other side. And it still somehow works as a movie. It's wild. I really, like, after watching it, I was really happy I watched it. I was like, it might not be my favorite movie of all time now, but it's fucking, that's a good movie.
Yeah. When they mentioned that was the only door that's locked.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, good Lord. Like, in Windows, like, all of the doors and windows were unlocked. Like, 70s. What?
Yeah, right. Also, sorry, real quick. I guess in the end, unless these guys, it's a question of timing, because obviously the cop outside gets killed at some point. But even with a search party out, the fact that those two doofuses walked up to the house with their guns out, and the cop was sitting there, like, if the cop, there's a problem either way it happens. Either the cop is still alive and he's like, meh, because it's like, even if you know that there's a search party out, search parties don't just like automatically have guns. You know what I mean? It's like flashlights. You're searching for, you're not looking for something to fight. You're looking for something you're trying to find. You don't need a gun.
I mean, he did say that they were looking for the killer.
Oh, were they? Oh, okay. I didn't. Oh, I thought they were just looking for the girl.
No,
Claire.
they mentioned that, the girl was killed. Like
Oh
that
yeah, everyone
news
keeps mentioning that
that news
the
spread
kid.
quick. And
Yeah.
also
I mean,
that was something else that Nash did. Was like he gave up that information like right away. I don't remember who he was on the phone with. Oh no, it was when Jess called in about the phone calls.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he's
He's just
like,
like, yeah, there was a kid killed in the park. We're real busy.
yeah, like is that public information yet? Like, what are you doing? So incompetent.
Kid killed, can't talk. The cop with the guns.
Mhm.
Okay, so either they're standing out there and the cop sees them and is like, man, whatever.
Mhm.
Even though this is the house he's supposed to be watching. Like, even if it's just part of the search party, it's like you should be like, hey, what's up? You guys
Yeah.
part of the search party? Like, double check.
Why are you going to this house in particular?
Yeah. But if the cop is already dead, then those idiots just walked right past him.
Yeah,
and
like,
didn't see the dead cop in the car.
They're a great search party.
Yeah, seriously, they didn't go like, "Oh, hey, officer, we're on our search." Oh, you're dead. They just waltzed on past.
Trying to get to a phone.
So yeah, Peter is a fucking psycho.
Yeah, he is.
When we see that, when Jess tells him about the abortion, I think it ends with a threat. Doesn't that conversation? Isn't he like, if you do it, you'll be sorry?
Yeah.
Or something like that. So it's
You'll
like,
regret
okay.
it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're a fucking psycho. And then he fucks up his recital, and then he smashes the piano with the mic stand or whatever. And he's just like going berserk, and he's like, I'm giving up everything. And she's like, what the fuck? Like, you should marry me.
And says, I'm, that
we're getting married.
Yeah, we'll get married.
Yeah, like telling her they're getting married, and it's just like, oh my god, this
no.
dude's fucking off his rocker. He's clearly insane. That hysterical shot when the cops are leaving, and it like zooms in on him in the woods, but with his like green turtleneck and his long fucking hair, he looks like an elf out in the woods. Like, oh, he's clearly fucking nuts.
Yeah.
And when it gets to the end there, when she's in the basement and he comes up to the window, I understand if she's not his biggest fan at the moment, especially when he like busts in the window.
Yeah.
Completely unnecessary. Did not need to do that. That's terrifying as well. So I don't necessarily disagree with her not wanting to come out to him when he calls for her, because it's like, like he's just literally busted in the door. Like, I don't know how safe I am with him, but she knows he's not the killer.
Yeah. I don't know if maybe she's like second guessing it because now she knows that, it was coming from in the house, and the one time that he was in the house when the call happened he was, taking a rest.
Right, but he came down in the middle of that phone call. I thought that was the whole thing.
Oh, maybe that's
because she's like, that's right. It couldn't have been Peter. He was here when the phone call happened. He was like right out there in the hallway. He like spooks her, but he was standing right there behind her, clearly not on a phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she knows he's not the killer. That totally like blew it for me at the end there, that she was like, she mouths Peter and is like all horrified. And then apparently just everyone thought it was Peter who was doing it. And it's like,
yeah,
you know he's not the killer. And I don't know if I'm just like misreading it, or if there's some reason why she would believe it, or if there's something else. But I was just sitting there baffled that she like fully believed that he was the killer, apparently.
Yeah.
That's what it seemed like. But then there's a problem the other way, because the way it seems is like they find her after she's apparently bludgeoned him to death because he came at her, and she's conscious, but then the next time you see her, she's in the bed unconscious. So if she is aware that Peter isn't the killer and just bashed him to death because he came at her, and you know what I mean, could have been self-defense regardless,
right,
she would then tell the police that there's another killer. It's not, because they're mentioning it and they're like, oh yeah, this is clearly the kid who did all the killings.
Yeah.
And it's like she would have told them like, no, there's still someone in the house. This guy just also attacked me. Like, she would have to explain that somehow.
Yeah.
Unless she fell into unconsciousness before they like got to her and talked to her about it.
Yeah, and that's
why. At which point she should be in the hospital and not left alone in her bed. Like, the whole ending just doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And it really bummed me out. Because I was like, what I really wanted to happen, and I guess it's the like slasher movie fan in me of like, this is one of the things that I was like hoping would happen, and then it didn't, was that she sees him through the glass and he's like, oh, hey, Jess, are you in there? And then that's when the killer comes up behind him and kills him. That's what I really wanted to happen.
Yeah.
And then it didn't. And I was like, okay, I'm still with it. You're doing your own thing, movie. I get you. And then all of a sudden it just came crashing down like that. And I was like, no.
You were so close.
Yeah, like you almost stuck the landing perfectly. But what is this nonsense? That they're just leaving her here?
Yeah. Like alone.
Nobody went into the attic to find the corpses.
That was another one of my, like, they're cops. They didn't do a fucking clean sweep of the house.
Seriously, unbelievable. Like, and you know, the reason that it's unbelievable, because it's like, you know, you say something like that, like the cops didn't do something right, and you go like, in a slasher movie, who'd have thunk it? These cops, other than Nash, are fucking on point.
Yeah.
This guy, Fuller, is awesome. He is clearly like, he's probably the best police officer in a slasher movie of all time.
I agree.
Like,
at least of the
ones I've seen.
Yeah.
he's on his shit. He asks the questions he needs to, you know, but he doesn't like berate anybody, and he gets, you know, what,
except for Nash.
Well, yeah, because you mean he fucking deserves it. I love that he tells him if he screws it up, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
Like, just straight up, like, don't fuck this
when
up.
there's a murderer afoot.
Yeah, really. But he is on top of his shit. He knows what he's doing, and he's just clearly super competent. So them failing that hard at the end there really felt like a slap in the face. Like, they're just gonna bail. Like, oh no, Mr. Harrison went into shock. We need an ambulance for him. Like,
why did it take so long for him to go into shock?
Yeah, I didn't understand what was happening there. I was like, especially because they didn't find his daughter.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I get you that at this point it's not looking good for Claire if there's other girls dead and there's a killer and all that. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, you just randomly went into shock at the end.
Yeah.
So that everyone could leave and leave Jess
get
alone.
Him to a hospital, but not her.
Yeah, but not Jess.
Like,
unbelievable. It bummed me out because I was like, I really wanted it to stick that landing of having like the cops be fucking smart about it, or at least understand what's happening or something like that. That moment doesn't feel like the end of the movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That moment's supposed to happen, and then it cuts to them driving away, and then fucking the lieutenant starts putting a couple of things together in his head, and he realizes like, wait a minute. And they have to go back to the house. You know what I mean? Like that, it felt like it felt not complete in a way. I liked the like open-endedness of it. I was fine with that, of it being like, well, he's probably still there and the phone is ringing, and that normally happens after someone gets killed. So maybe Jess is dead. Who knows? You know, like that's fine with me doing it ambiguously like that. But just the sheer stupidity to get from her in the basement to that moment.
Yeah.
That whole chunk in there, I was like, fuck. Damn it, movie. You had so much going for you and you fucked it up there. And I think what was the biggest issue, the end of, like, the only way that ending works is if we have never been in Billy's point of view. If we've only been with the girls, and then there's a killer scene, and then phone calls are happening, and you get the girls' end of it and not the other end of it, and all of that. So it's sort of a secret as to who he is and where he is and all of that. Then I could understand that ending.
Yeah.
Of it being like, it was Peter, fucking crazy Peter. And then the phone's ringing again at the end, and you're like, oh, it wasn't Peter. It was some other person. Oh my God. That's the only way that ending actually works. The problem is that I felt one of the strongest parts of the whole movie was the fact that you actually spend time with Billy, and you know, like, you don't know him, but you understand. It's like, he's a fucking crazy guy. He's fucking living in the attic. He's compiling corpses up there.
Possible multiple personalities.
Yeah, like clearly something fucked up going on.
Schizophrenia, maybe?
Yeah, probably. Making these phone calls from inside the house. Sometimes it's a little unbelievable that they don't hear ruckus going on while he's like shrieking into the phone. You'd think someone would be like, do you hear that elsewhere in the house right now?
Sounds like it's coming from
right upstairs, up those stairs right there.
In her office?
Bedroom? Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah.
Her room.
Yeah. It was a bit weird that they didn't realize that the voices was coming there from like how much screaming he did.
Yeah.
But even, just letting that slide. But just knowing that he is there doing it and who it is doing it, I feel is what makes it so great. Like what I
Mm-hmm.
really like about the movie. Like, oh, it's such a fresh perspective that you never get
Mm-hmm.
in a slasher movie. So therefore that ending just didn't hold any water because it was like, yeah, at no point was I convinced it was Peter.
Yeah.
So you're just sitting there watching these people make terrible decisions. You know what I mean? Like, no, don't, no, idiots.
Come
Yeah,
on.
instead of being like, yeah, they're doing the right thing. Oh fuck! Like, oh, there probably should have been a different way to do it. Unfortunately, it's like the most important part of the movie is the end of your movie, and to like kind of sprain your ankle on the landing is kind of crappy. Like, but
it was really good though.
mm-hmm.
Like,
It was atmospheric. It was
mm-hmm.
fun. What I really liked about it was that it wasn't dependent on Christmas. It just was Christmas.
Yeah.
I really liked that. It wasn't like, and the killer has some sort of holiday
Yeah.
fixation or was a former
Thinks
Santa
he's
Claus.
Krampus.
Yeah, exactly. He's not like wearing a Santa hat or,
Yeah.
some dumb shit like that. It's just,
Really
it's
the
happening
only
around Christmas.
Christmassy thing with the carolers.
Yeah.
Like as a
that was great.
distraction.
Yeah, it's like you could probably imagine a handful of other ways to distract someone during a scene,
Mm-hmm.
but having the carol like scoring the death scene
Mm-hmm.
really made where it was just like, yes, it did need to be during Christmas, but not in the way that you would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
More so in just that fun, like mirror world thing of like, yes, it's this, joyous time of year. This horrible shit happening during it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think Bob Clark specifically said like that was what he kind of wanted to do. It's like, take something super happy and make a dark ass movie about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it worked. I was talking earlier about that new Black Christmas trailer,
Mm-hmm.
and how much it sucked. Like it sucked just originally, just
Oh.
looking at it from
Okay.
neutral point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at it now after seeing the movie, it's like especially insulting in a way where you're like, this is just like a garbage bin. I mean, that's like really harsh, but like this is like garbage scale, just like teen slasher movie. And
Bleh.
then they were just like, just call it Black Christmas. You know what I mean? It's not at all. It has nothing to do. It's not even like an attempted remake, really. This is not even close to the same movie. You're
Mhm.
literally just using the name Black Christmas, which is like personally whatever. I'm
Mhm.
not that big on that sort of thing unless it's something really specific. Like
Yeah.
someone couldn't come out with like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Like, wait a minute. No, this is a totally different movie. The only thing is it's like there's girls, it's a sorority house. There.
That's all they took from it.
Because it's a cult.
Oh.
It's like it's someone in a robe who is like killing the girls, and you see a bunch of that, and people being like, "Oh my god, the girls, they're disappearing! Oh my god!" And then like the killer's coming at one of the girls, and they show this all in the trailer. Killer comes at one of the girls, and they like shoot him, and he like drops to the ground, and then another killer comes in the same outfit, and it's
Ugh.
like, "Oh my god!" And there's this frat who were so obviously the bad guys in the trailer while you're
Mhm.
watching it that I was like, that's pretty smart, putting the like big red herring in the trailer
Mhm.
so that people are like, I already know what happens, and then they get surprised. And then the trailer shows that they're the bad guys.
Ugh.
And it's like, oh no, you're just showing everything. And it's terrible.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it has there's no connection at all to this fucking original movie, and it's such a bummer. Like,
Ugh.
so many people will probably go out and watch that piece of crap and be like, meh, and never really think about it again. Like,
Yeah.
no,
And then
there's a-
not want to see.
exactly. It's like there's
Mhm.
a really fucking good movie, and you're not gonna watch it. It's a bummer, but I'm really, really glad we did.
Me too.
Because, like I said, it kind of has immediately become one of my favorites. Like, I would be down for watching it again next Christmas or something like that, just for the sake of it. Like, yes, maybe a little closer to Christmas when there's more Christmassy stuff
Mhm.
up in the world. Because right now it's still a little early. There's
Yeah.
not as much.
It's slowly.
It's getting there. It's getting
slowly
there.
creeping up. Yeah.
But yeah, for the rest of the month, we are going to look at, well, I know we want to look at something Star Wars because of the new movie coming out. We're going to try to figure something out about that to have a really cool special show. But in general, we're going to aim for some Christmassy stuff But we will figure that out some other time. But right now, this is going to wrap up Popcorn for Dinner for this week. This is Jeff.
This is Kelly.
Happy holidays.